Okay, we're going to factor a trinomial where we have ax squared plus bx plus c, and we're going to do it with a greater than 1. Okay, so here our a is equal to 3. Now using the AC method, okay, we're going to set up a t-chart. And with the AC method, we multiply the first and the last. So the leading coefficient with the constant, 3 times 1 gives me 3. I'm going to put that on the right side of my t-chart, trinomial. And on the left side of my t-chart, I'm going to have my linear term 4. Okay, so I want something that multiplies to 3 and adds to 4. Okay, so I'm just going to start writing out my factors. 3 times 1, negative 3 times negative 1. That's everything that multiplies to 3. So 3 plus 1, that's 4. That works out. I'm just going to show you if I add these together, I get negative 4. So I'm looking for this one right here. So these two numbers right here, these factors tell me how to break up this 4x. So I'm going to rewrite this as 4 terms. So I'm going to write this as 3x squared. Now instead of writing 4x, I'm going to say 3 for that 3 right there. So plus 3x, and then 1x plus 1x for that 1 here. Okay? And then plus 1. So I just want you to see that this 4x right here, that term, okay, gets broken up into 3x here plus 1x here. All right? So now that I've got it broken up into 4 terms, we think, okay, 4 terms factored by grouping. All right? So I'm going to group this. So when I group this, to try to make sure we don't mess up on our distributing, I'm going to put parentheses around the first 2 and then the last 2. And always make sure you've got this plus sign in the middle here. Okay, that's just to avoid any distribution errors you might get. All right, so what's in common between these two? GCF, a 3 and an x. So I can pull a 3x out of here. Now, what do I have left? If I pull a 3x out, there's just an x here. And if I pull a 3x out of 3x, I just have 1 there. All right? Same thing here. What's in common between x and 1? Well, just 1. So I'm going to pull the 1 out. My GCF at minimum is going to be 1 here. Okay, so I have left x. I'm going to try the same color, x plus 1, and then close my parentheses. So now when I look at this, I see an x plus 1 factor here and an x plus 1 factor here. Okay? So what am I trying to do? I'm going to GCF again. So really I'm kind of like I'm doing a GCF and then another GCF. Okay? So I'm going to factor out x plus 1 out of this first term. And then what do I have left? I've got a 3x. And I factor out an x plus 1 out of the second term. What do I have left? I've got a plus 1. Close the parentheses. So my factors, x plus 1 times 3x plus 1. Okay? All right. Let's try another one. Okay. Maybe now instead let's do 5x squared minus 2x minus 7. Okay. So 3 terms, trinomial, t-chart. I'm going to use the AC method, multiply the first and the last. 5 times negative 7, that's negative 35. And then, what do I want? Well, I'm going to do, let me fix this paper real quick, see if I can slide this under here. Okay. So I'm going to take the negative 2 here. So I want it to multiply to negative 35 and then add to negative 2. All right, so let's think about factors here. Well, I know since it's negative multiplication, that means I'm going to have 1 positive, 1 negative. But if I do that, that's going to be 34. That adds to 34. So that's definitely not going to work. Okay, 5 times 7. Okay, so if I did 5 times 7, all right, let's think about this. Okay, if 1's negative, so let's make negative 7. Okay, good, yeah, so negative 7 plus 5 gives you negative 2. So this multiplies to negative 35, and it adds to negative 2. So there's my numbers. Great. All right, so I'm going to break it up, okay? So I'm going to have 5x squared, and then I have a plus 5, so I have a 5x, and then I have a minus 7, so minus 7x minus 7. Okay, now when I group, you have to promise me when you group these that we make sure that our groups have a plus in between the two, okay? So when you have this negative here, make sure to put it inside the parentheses. If you leave it outside the parentheses, then all of a sudden the negative distributes and you change that negative 7 to a plus 7. That's no good. So make sure to just tuck that negative inside the parentheses, all right? So let's see, what's in common between these two? A 5 and an x. So I'm going to pull a 5x out. What do I have left inside? I have an x and then plus 1, I think. All right. Now, when I look at this, I'm thinking, all right, with the last problem, I wanted to make sure that if I had an x plus 1 factor here, then I had an x plus 1 factor here. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I want an x plus 1 factor right there. I want it to be right here. That's what I really, really want, okay? But how do I make that negative 7x look like x, okay? Well, if I divide both by negative 7, so I pull out that negative 7, then I think it actually works out. All right, so it's kind of like we're reverse engineering to make sure we get this right term here, because we want this term to match this term so that we can then GCF the x plus 1 out of both of those, and then I have what left? 5x minus 7, okay? All right, so that was kind of an accident. Don't start thinking that x plus 1 is always a factor to every answer, okay? So there you go. AC method where a is greater than 1.